Okay, students, if you're watching this, I guess you need a little help on your homework, or maybe you want to check some of your work. Please look up here and make sure you're on the right assignment. You're watching the wrong video if you are not supposed to be doing page 334, 1 through 25 all, okay? So there we go. Okay, as always, I go fast. Pause this if you need to. Let's take a look at number 1. Number 1 says name the bases of this trapezoid right here. Name the bases. Well, students, please remember the bases are always the parallel side. I keep drilling this into you, but it does not matter what way it's turned. We don't care about that. The bases are always the parallel side, so the bases in this problem would be segment AB and segments DC. Okay, those are the bases. All right, problem number 2. Problem number 2 says name the legs. Well, obviously the legs are the non-parallel sides, so the legs would be segment or side AD and segment or side BC. Okay, moving on to number 3. Number 3 says decide whether the quadrilateral is, are you ready? Let's write this down. Trapezoid or an isosceles trapezoid or neither. All right, well, let's see what we got, shall we? Okay, we have a four-sided figure, and look at this. We have this side here is parallel to this side here, so I know I have a trapezoid. But then look, this leg is congruent to this leg. So I have a special trapezoid and isosceles trapezoid. Okay, let's take a look at number 4. Let's see. Well, students, first of all, we have to know that we have parallel sides. And we don't know that, so we don't have any trapezoid at all. So the answer is going to be neither. Okay? Neither. All right, let's go on to number 5. Number 5. Okay, number 5, we're doing the exact same thing. We either have a trapezoid or an isosceles trapezoid or neither. Okay, well, look at this. I have 4 sides and I have exactly one set of parallel sides. So I know for sure I've got a trapezoid. Now, do they have this leg right here marked congruent to this leg here? No, they don't. So we do not know that these two legs are congruent, so we cannot state that we have an isosceles trapezoid. We know for sure we have a trapezoid. Okay, let's take a look at number 6. They want us to find the length of the mid-segment. Well, are you missing one of the bases or are you missing the mid-segment? Well, you're missing the mid-segment, so 7 plus 11 equals 18, and you take the 18 and you divide it by 2. Your answer is 9, and this is number 6. All right, let's take a look at number 7. Number 7. Now remember, students, we don't care which way it's turned. These are your bases because they're the parallel sides. And we have a 7 and a 3, and they want us to find the length of the mid-segment. So 7 plus 3 equals 10, and 10 divided by 2 equals 5. So the answer is 5. And I did tell you this homework assignment was, I think it's not very long at all. Okay, number 8. You have a base of 15, a base of 19. If you add those two together, you'll get 34. And if you divide 32 in half, or 34 in half, you'll get 17. Okay? 17. Okay, let's take a look at number 9. Now on numbers, now listen carefully please, on numbers 9 through 13, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13, it's going to be multiple choice. You can look in your book there and see that, okay? So they want us to know for number 9, what do we call segments QR and PS? Well, let's see. Here's QR. Here's PS. Aren't they the parallel sides? So those are called bases. And what letter would that be? That would be letter D. So the answer to number 9 is letter D. Okay, let's take a look at number 10. Number 10. On number 10, they want us to match angle Q and angle S. Angles Q and angles S. Okay, now here's Q up here. And here's S down here. Please don't call those base angles. Remember, base angles have to run along the same base. So P and S are base angles, or Q and R are base angles. But angles Q and S, they're not base angles. They're opposite angles. And doesn't that make sense? I mean, they're across, they're opposite angles, and that would be letter C. Letter C. Okay, let's go on to number 11. Number 11, angles R and Q. Well, here's R, here's Q. They're base angles. They're base angles, they're on the same base, and that would be letter B. Letter B. And then number 12, number 12, let me get a quick drink of water here. All right, number 12, PQ and RS. PQ, RS. Well, here's PQ, here's RS. They're the non-parallel sides. We called those legs, and that's letter A. Letter A. All right, moving on to number 13 also. Actually, I think I skipped number 12, and I apologize for that. That is incorrect. Let's just go ahead and call this number 13 there. We just did number 13 out of order, and now let's go ahead and do number 12. So I guess for those watching the video, I hope you don't skip around. You'll be a little confused there. Number 12 just wants to know, what do we call MN? Well, here's MN, and I thought we talked about that. We call that the mid segment of the trapezoid, mid segment, and that would be letter E. Letter E. All right. Okay, moving on to number 14. Number 14. What do they want us to do? Find the missing angles. All right. Well, please notice, students, that we do have a trapezoid. There's my parallel sides. And notice your legs are congruent. So we have an isosceles trapezoid. Anytime you have an isosceles trapezoid, the base angles are congruent. So if this is 45, then we know angle M is 45. So the measure of angle M equals 45 degrees. Now, if I have my two angles are 45 and 45, that's 90. And I know all four angles together have to equal 360. So 360 minus 90 would leave me 270. So these two angles right here with the dot and with the dot, those two angles have to add up to 270. So the measure of angle K then would have to be 135. I just cut this in half. And the measure of angle L equals 135. Let's take a look at number 15. And again, they're giving us the exact same instructions. And it's done the exact same way. Notice we have parallel lines, their bases, and notice your legs are congruent. Do you see that? So we know we have an isosceles trapezoid. And when you have an isosceles trapezoid, then you know that the base angles are congruent. So if this is 60, then angle K is also 60 right here. Do you see that? And then if you add 60 plus 60, those two angles together equal 120. Well, all four angles have to equal 360, so subtract out 120. That will leave you 240. Divide that in half, and this angle has to be 120, and this angle has to be 120. All right? Okay, moving on to number 16. Again, students, the same thing. Look, please, we have two parallel lines here. Those are our bases, and then my other two sides are congruent. See those congruent symbols? So I do have an isosceles trapezoid. So if you have an isosceles trapezoid, we know that the base angles are congruent. So if angle J is 128, then angle K is 128. Let's go ahead and add those together, and we should get 256. Now all four angles together have to add up to 360, so let's subtract out our 256, and we should get 104. And of course, if these two angles add together is 104, divide that by 2, and this angle here would have to be 52, and this angle here 52. I hope that makes sense. Okay, number 17, find the missing angle measures. And let's see what we have here. QRST is a trapezoid. So we're taking a look at number 17. Okay, now this will be a little interesting. It's a little tough here. And I guess I should have given you this sentence in your notes. I'm not sure how to word this, but well, just notice this right here, students. This line here is parallel to this line here. Remember you learned that when two lines are parallel, cut by a transversal, these same interior angles, they're not congruent. They are not congruent. They're always supplementary. So whenever you have a trapezoid like we have here, Now notice it's not an isosceles trapezoid. Please notice that, students. This leg here is not congruent to this leg here. So you cannot state that you have an isosceles trapezoid, okay? You cannot state that. But we do have a regular trapezoid. See, a lot of you think because you have a 78 here, you'd put a 78 over here. And that is wrong, because you can only do that. Look at the last problem that we just did. We had, look, see these congruent symbols right here? Those are called isosceles trapezoids, and we don't have isosceles trapezoids over here. This is a regular trapezoid, okay? So what you have to realize is this angle right here, I'm going to call it X, and this angle here will always add up to 180. So 180 minus 78 is 102. So this angle right here does have to be 102. And now see this angle right here, angle S and angle T, they have to add up to 180 also. So 180 minus 132 would be 48 degrees. Now, Mr. Earhart, why didn't you teach us that? Well, guys, it is true that when you have parallel lines cut by a transversal, I'll do another transversal over here like that. These are called the interior angles, okay? These interior angles, consecutive interior angles, are always going to be supplementary, okay? So I shouldn't put congruent symbols there. These two angles are going to be supplementary, and these two angles are going to be supplementary. So do you see your parallel line right here? Parallel line cut by a transversal. So these two angles have to add up to 180. That goes back to last semester. Okay, let's take a look at the next one, number 18. Okay, well again, students, yes or no? Do we have an isosceles trapezoid? Well, no, there's no congruent symbol here and here on your legs. So what we're going to have to do is remember that these angles here are going to be supplementary. So 180 minus 78 gives me 102. So this angle here will be 102. And then here we have 110. So 180 minus 110 would give you 70. This angle here would be 70. So these two here add up to 180, and these two here add up to 180. Okay, let's try number 19. I'm glad they've kind of turned it around a little bit, because I want you to learn this no matter what they give you, okay? Now look at the problem. This is 90 degrees, and this is 150. Now I have a question for you. Yes, we have a trapezoid. We have a parallel side here, parallel side here. However, do we have an isosceles trapezoid? No, we do not, because if we did, this side here would be congruent to that side there. So what I'm going to say is angle R and angle Q have to be supplementary. So if that's 90 right here, then what does angle Q have to be? Well, 90, because 90 plus 90 is 180. Okay, and angle T and angle S, they have to be supplementary also. So what would this angle have to be? Well, 30, because 150 plus 30 is 180. All right. Okay, let's take a look at number 20. Number 20, back to the mid segment. We should have this down pretty well now. So here we go. 9 plus 7 is 16. 9 plus 7 equals 16. Divide that by 2 and you get 8 right here for your mid segment. Okay, on to number 21. Number 21, same thing. Here's your base, add them together and you get 30. Divide 30 by 2, and this mid segment is 15. Okay, on to number 22. Number 22, here's a base, it's a parallel side. Sorry about that. Here's a base and here's a base. They're parallel sides. Add them together and you get 24. Divide that by 2 and you will get 12. So this length right here is 12. All right, let's take a look at number 23. Now these are the ones I told you they were going to give you. Now look, here you're finding one of the bases. They've given you the mid segment. Here's the mid segment, and you're looking for one of the bases. So what did I teach you to do? You take your mid segment, 9, and you multiply it by 2. You double it. And then whatever you get, you subtract out the other base. So 18 minus 12 equals 6. So this length up here has to be 6. And if you want to check your work, go ahead and check it. What's 6 plus 12? 18. Divide it by 2 and you get 9. Okay, it does work. All right, let's take a look at number 24. Number 24, are you missing the mid-segment? No, you are not. You're missing one of the bases. So you take your mid-segment, which is 10, and you double it. You multiply it by 2, and you get 20. And then you subtract out the other base, and you're left with 4. So this length right here is 4. And then last but not least, number 25. Are you looking for the mid-segment? No, you are not. They have given it to you. So you take your mid-segment and you double it, multiply it by 2, you get 46, and you subtract out the other base, and you will get 19. All right? And is that right? Yeah, 19. And so this length right here is 19. Hope this has been a help to you, and we will see you in class.